Arsenal 2-1 over Brighton in the Premier League. Once again, nervous, more nervous than it needed to be. But we did it the hard way. OG stepped up again at the Emirates. But most importantly, we got the 3 points, and that's what we want. Every single game, as long as we get the 3 points, I am a happy camper. A lot to talk about. This is the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. Hello and welcome back to the Real Arsenal Deal. Rav here, as always, your host. How is everyone? Today I'm recording this first thing Sunday morning here in a beautiful sunny Melbourne morning. It's a fantastic day because Arsenal won, right? Any day Arsenal win, rain, hail or shine, it is a good day. We got the 3 points, more nervous and edgy than it needed to be, but I just think that's just the nature of this current spell Arsenal are on. We have been hit by a host of injuries, including 2 more in the lead up to this match. One literally in the warm-up, Calafiori, the latest Arsenal player to be injured in a warm-up prior to a match. So I've kind of lost count of how many times that's happened. Even this season, I can recall it's happened in a few times. I've lost count of how many defensive combinations we have. How many different back four combinations is that now? It seems like we keep registering these new unwanted stats, I guess. But ultimately, Arsenal are finding a way, and this is the most important thing. As much as it's difficult to watch, it's nervous, it's edgy, it's not pretty sometimes, but it's effective. As much as I can comment and all that, what I have to say is it's not about me. It's not about my heart rate or anything watching us close out matches. It's not about that at all. It's about the team, and that we are finding a way to dig deep. There's a resilience that no matter what's being thrown at us, what circumstances are put in front of us. I mean, we have every excuse, again, in this match to say, okay, that we ran out of steam. We conceded a goal out of nothing, their first shot on target, and our defensive injuries caught up with us, and we concede a late last-minute equaliser. Right? There's all those sorts of, excuses you can put forward, and as frustrating as they would be, you can kind of understand that at some point, you need a consistent run of your best plays. You need stability. You need consistency. You need players playing in their natural position and those relationships, that cohesion, that we know all the good things that can happen from them. But ultimately, Arsenal are just finding a way. We kind of have to deal with it, in the grand scheme of things, such as the desire to win, such as the pressure cooker at the moment with Arsenal and every single match in the Premier League, especially with City once again playing before us, and they went top, albeit temporarily. Then the spotlight turns to Arsenal. Okay, over to you, over to us, I should say. And we answered. Again, we've answered. It may not be the prettiest, most effective way to do it, but you know what? 3 points. It's 3 points. Crucial 3 points. And that is absolutely priceless. So to those of you who don't know or may not be as familiar with me, I watch, I'm all the way over here in Melbourne, so I'm watching the games on my iPad in the middle of the night, all hours of the morning and night. This was a 2 a.m. kickoff here for us. It seems like it's been a while since I've had to endure that. We've had a recent run of fixtures where it's been the nighttime UK kickoff, which is around 7 a.m. here, which is much more preferable for me, by the way, because a match like this, it's difficult to get back to sleep after. Look, I'm battle hardened, I guess. I've got a lot of experience in that, but even I myself find this pressure cooker that I refer to that Arsenal are currently in, it's a matter of just like scrape through, somehow survive, get the 3 points, and we can just dissect it all after. And recording in this format really does help me. It's more of a self-therapy type of venture that I'm doing here in terms of recording and podcasting. Because for those long-term listeners, as you know, I'm quite often thinking or talking Arsenal anyway. So this gives me a nice little outlet. And boy, I really need it sometimes. Because you're watching the last 10 to 15 minutes of this match, Arsenal closing it out on a knife's edge again. And Brighton sends something. I mean, they have an excellent record against Arsenal. How many times have they come over and nicked something at the Emirates, even nicking wins away? Even nicking wins late on in seasons and in the matches itself. They've done us a few times over the seasons. There's something about this particular manager, Hertzler. I don't know why. I don't know why does it bother me, but he's kind of an annoying figure to watch on the sidelines. Is it just me? He kind of just grates me. But at the same time, I'm not going to make too much of that because I'm sure there are many opposition fans who probably feel the same about Arteta, right? Sometimes people just rub you the wrong way, but it just feels like a while since we've won against them. And I checked again because I kind of totally forgot about these matches, but we drew twice against them last season, including that the corresponding fixture last season was that debacle, the first of those red cards of the what do they call it? Delaying the restart, which, it was a thing for a while, which only seemed to be applied in Arsenal's direction. And I've rarely heard about it since. Remember all that crap about by the letter of the law and that whole narrative. He gave the referee no choice and that whole thing. And I'm just so glad we've moved so far beyond that. Arsenal are just no longer getting sucked into those sort of distractions and that narrative. But the point I'm trying to make is it feels like it's been a while since we've defeated Brighton. Their fans, can sense something as well. They've had a few enjoyable away trips to the Emirates, and in those closing 12, 15 minutes, they sensed something. They were really coming on. David Raya's save, I have to talk about. David Raya's save was unbelievable. When I watched it live, I was just kind of half watching, paying attention. I was just hoping the ball that we could clear it or get it out. I didn't quite appreciate how good a save it was watching it live. It was just sort of a half chance, struck beautifully by Minte, who seems to have a good little record against Arsenal, causes us a lot of problems. But every replay, this save gets better and better from David Raya, like outstretched fingertips and the way he's able to power that over the bar. I mean, it's one thing to get your hand to it, but as we've always said with David Raya, he's got strong hands, strong fingers, and to be able to generate enough power in your fingers to block and deflect that shot over the bar, that's intentional. That's just not luck. That's just an outstanding technique, outstanding skill, reactions, reflexes, and an unbelievable moment. I mean, how crucial could that be in the grand scheme of things? Not only has it potentially saved us 2 points here, but at the state of the match, that was 76, 77 minutes in with Brighton turning it on, having all the momentum, and Arsenal defending deep. Maybe they could have gone on to nick something. Who knows? Who absolutely knows? But David Raya stepped up once again. Your big keepers in big moments. In any major trophy, there's always going to be these sort of moments scattered throughout a season. When you lift a Premier League or a Champions League at the end of the season, you can always look back on massive moments when your goalkeeper has stepped up. And I think one literally just happened. One has happened right now. David Raya once again stepped up when the team needed him. An unbelievable save. The type of thing that hopefully in a few months' time we're looking back on and saying, yep, that could have been a clincher of a Premier League title or not. I want to talk more a bit about the goals themselves, but before I do, I should just recap the lineup because I fully expected Timber to play this one. I wasn't aware that there was a knock. A couple of days ago, I think Arteta referred to, did something happen during the Palace match? And look, this is the compound cluster nature of injuries now with Arsenal, because when you're stretching players, when you're relying upon the same small group of players to play again and again 3 times a week because of other injuries, the cluster effect impacts them. It means the load is increased. And Timber probably wouldn't have played against Palace midweek if Ben White was fit. And unfortunately, Ben White probably wouldn't have been injured in the matches prior when he made a number of consecutive starts and we had Lewis Skelly on the bench and we could have done something different at right back. And, it's just the nature of it, right? Because Mosquera is out, Gabriel is out, he's returned now, of course, and just we continually finding ourselves stretched in one position of the field. A few months back, it was in the forward department. We've got many of them back now, which is fantastic. And Havertz, from what I understand, Kai Havertz not too far away in returning to the group, which is fantastic, sensational for the club. Down back, though, it's really difficult. Timber was already out, and I saw the post-match quotes from Arteta. He referred to that Calafiori was feeling something yesterday in whatever training session they had in preparing. It's I don't know what that actually means. I don't know if it's he rarely gives anything away. Is it a muscle injury, a hamstring fight, whatever? Right. But then Calafiori in the warm up, he seemed uncomfortable, I think is the word that Arteta used as well. And then he goes out, and then last minute, Lewis Skelly steps in, of course. At least we've got a ready-made fullback ready to step in, which is fantastic. You always have to be ready because you never know when the opportunity will come. But then he's got to go and find a right back, and he's pulled Declan Rice into right back. It's unbelievable, the amount of times that we just find a way, that we find something. And so often it's Rice who's the center point of that. He can play. He plays everywhere anyway, right? The amount of distance that he covers, the amount of ground that he covers, his versatility as a footballer it just continues to blow me away how much he's improved since signing 2 seasons ago for Arsenal. And he was just up and down that right wing, he's played there for a few seasons. It helps with our style of play that the right hand, like either fullback position that we invert, and when we're in possession, we take a different shape and we have our centre halves covering spaces, and we can have the fullbacks push forward. So in a strange, quirky sort of way, maybe it suited Arsenal to have Rice in there. I mean, he seemed to cover that position a lot more effectively well than, in years gone past when we've had to dip into the Thomas Partey at right back situation, right? So Rice, he looked very comfortable otherwise. So it allowed Merino in midfield and Odegaard as well. Odegaard had a fantastic game. I want to give him a special mention in a moment. But just to complete the lineup, then we saw Merino start in midfield. Seems like it's been a while since he started in that position. I know he started midweek against Palace as well. So as another player who can just, step in and just do whatever the team needs, whether he's needed up forward or in midfield, that's the nature of this current phase of Arsenal. We've got players ready and willing to step up. Whatever the manager of the team needs, they will put their hand up and come in and do it. Front three was probably as expected. Trossard against his old team. Geez, they gave him a rollicking, didn't they, in that first half? I know he didn't Brighton on the best of terms, right? So that's always the nature of football, the tribalism. You're always going to cop it from your old fans. So Gyökeres centre forward, which I think was the correct decision. We've got to manage Jesus' minutes. I know he was very lively against Palace midweek and just didn't have the goal to show for it. But we don't want to find ourselves in a position where we push him too hard and do 2 starts in 3 days after almost 12 months out, and we lose him again. And Saka on the right-hand side, which was always a given. Overall, on paper, still a pretty good lineup. It's just a matter of, once again, we've got new relationships forming, new things happening live and new combinations elsewhere that just, if we had that stability, things just can be very, very different. Unfortunately, Arsenal don't have the benefit of that right now. What we are doing, though, is that we are answering the questions, which is fantastic. And we started very lively on this one. I think there was a concerted effort from Arsenal. I think we are all aware of how much that first goal, the opening goal, changes the entire dynamics, the entire complexion of matches, especially at the Emirates. The longer and longer you go without conceding, even if you get to half-time and having a flurry of chances, but the opposition can get to half-time 0-0, the longer it goes on, the more hope it gives them. The deeper they sit, the more they look to nick something at the other end on the sucker punch. I mean, we've seen it so many times, right? We saw it against Palace as well midweek. We just couldn't find that goal. For all that domination, all the shots on goal, all the XG statistics. I mean, if you don't score the goal, you're making it so much more difficult for yourself. And Arsenal started out of the blocks very brightly. There was a moment, just I think it was about a minute and a half in, where Gyökeres had been played in, and I don't quite know what he was thinking. Maybe he was surprised by how clear-cut a chance it was. It was right at the top of the box in a central position, goalkeeper advancing. And he's just sort of just tamely almost passed it to him. It wasn't even like he was trying to lift the goalkeeper. Maybe that was his thinking momentarily, but if he's just powered it, if he whacks it with the shot power that we know he has, I mean, that's what the situation called for. Just rocket one in, and it could have been 1-0. So we had most of the play in that opening spell, and thankfully didn't have to wait too much longer, because at around the 13, 14-minute mark, it's just great to see Odegaard strike the ball like that. It's been quite some time since he's last scored a goal. I believe the commentator said, I think it was the final day last season against Southampton, and even just in the couple of weeks to close out last season, his ball striking power, it really seemed to return. He's had a lot of injury problems as well. I maintain, I've said this many times on this channel, that he was not fit to return and play as much football as he did last season. It was more so out of necessity because of the amount of injuries we suffered last season. And I think he's been very harshly judged and criticised as a result of that. But towards the end of last season, that shot power returned. No better example against PSG in that semi-final against Donnarumma, which still, when I think of that, I shake my head like, how the hell did he save that? That if that went in, almost any other situation, any other goalkeeper, we are looking at an entire different outlook of that semi-final tie. But anyway, it's great to see Odegaard score again. Boy, if we need that, we need him back in goal-scoring form. If we can, this back end of this season, this next 5 to 6 months, if we can somehow get 6 to 8 Premier League goals from Odegaard, I mean, we know he's capable. Just a few seasons ago, his numbers were phenomenal. They stacked up with any elite midfielder across Europe. His goals and statistics in the Premier League a few seasons ago. So we know the capability is there. Of course, his role has evolved. He's playing a lot more deeper now as well, collecting the ball deep and driving forward. So there's some evolution to Odegaard's game as well. But just a fantastic goal to see. Great to see that the confidence, picked his spot beautifully, and we got the first goal, and that changes everything. 15 minutes in to go 1-0 up and have something to show for your dominance. That's what's been lacking these last few matches for Arsenal. It calms the nerves of the players. It sets the tone for the opposition as well. It changes the way they need to play if they want to get something from the match. It lifts the crowd. It quietens the away fans. There's just so much good that comes from scoring that early goal. It's not exactly cutting edge analysis here, is it? But I want to make a point of it because Arsenal have an excellent record in scoring first. I believe we've won our last 20 matches when scoring first. So it's so crucial, especially these home matches, especially early in the first half. Go to halftime with a lead, and it changes everything, including how the opposition plays. So speaking of halftime, they've made a couple of changes. I believe they made 2 substitutions. I missed the names because I used that moment just to tiptoe to the bathroom and back and get back in time for the second half without waking anyone up. So they'd made some changes. We kept our substitutes in reserve and then, started the second half again brightly. What was it, about 51, 52 minutes, I think, the second goal came in. Excellent delivery from Rice from the corner, front post header. I mean, it was a great finish, right? Own goal, OG steps up again. How many times has he delivered at the Emirates in the last week or so? Long may that continue. But all jokes aside, we know it's not going to continue. We know we can't keep relying upon these own goals when we continue to waste chances. And unfortunately, we didn't find that third or even fourth goal. So just prior to recording this, I saw the stat that the XG was 3.1 something for Arsenal this match and about 0.8, 0.9 for Brighton. Yet we've scraped away with a 2-1 victory. And look, it's just one of those things. It should have been more. I know I've been saying that a lot, and a lot of people have been saying that lately, that it should have been more goals, and it shouldn't be as nerve-wracking as it is in closing out matches, because we've got the dominance there. We just don't have the goals to show for it. Now, I'm a bit more relaxed about that, because creating chances is one thing, not being able to finish them is another. If we were just creating nothing, if we were seeing just that perennial horseshoe of death and slow build-up, no intensity, no one really making runs or taking shots on goal, that's a completely different story. You've got a lot more questions around that. But at some point, this little run of how sort of wasteful we've been in terms of the XG stats, that's got to come to an end. I mean, sometimes just during the season, little narratives emerge and go, and they last for a couple of games or a couple of weeks, and then they go. We've seen that already a few times this season, right? Remember how many wins Arsenal registered in a row with clean sheets and no shots on target conceded. So that's sort of come and gone now, hasn't it? Lately, we've been leaking goals, largely due to a number of defensive injuries. And now we've got this latest little emergence of own goals, a little flurry of that. And that's just going to course correct naturally over time. And hopefully the next match actually is in a few days' time against Aston Villa. And what a huge match that is, because they won against Chelsea and they beat us just a few weeks ago, and I'm sure we've got something to say about that. So somewhere, sometime along the line, someone's going to cop a little. How should I say this? Someone's going to cop a blasting from Arsenal. Like it's going to click, and we're going to put 4 or 5 away against someone. And geez, how would I love that to be in a few days' time? Actually, against Villa with Emery returning to the Emirates, I'd love to do them 4 or 5-0. I mean, I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. I'll keep talking about the Brighton match in a moment, but just to round off the point, at some point it's going to click and we are going to find the back of the net, and it's going to happen in a flurry, and I hope it's soon. So around the 70-minute mark, Arsenal have made 2 changes. The return of Gabriel, he's come on for Lewis Skelly, and what a fantastic moment to have Gabriel back fit just when we're suffering more and more injuries in defence. To have someone of Gabriel's stature return is massive for the club. It's kind of just the story of the season, right? We have returning players, but we lose 2 or 3 more. And it's unfortunate it's that way. And that's something else that I hope just naturally course corrects, because this is not sustainable if we want to lift the major trophies that we're all gunning for. Gabriel returned and Gyökeres came off for Jesus. There was an excellent reception for all players stepping onto the field. I think we sensed that we needed that assurance, that experience at the back as well to see this game off. And look, as much as we searched for the goal, we couldn't quite find it. It was Brighton out of nowhere. Once again, out of nowhere, they've scrambled a ball, taken a shot. It's come back off the post. It can literally go anywhere. It can tip out wide for a goal kick, or it can come back into the hot zone. It can come back into Raya's hands, or for a defender to clear. It just so happens it's landed at the footsteps of Brighton's player, and he's whacked it in, and it's all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 2-1. So as a result of that goal, yeah, we saw the energy change, didn't it? The energy, the nervousness in the crowd, nervousness of me watching at home as well. Like I was thinking to ourselves, oh God, not again. So we were forced into a few minutes to retreat and sit deep and defend. We're getting good blocks in, good interceptions, trying to get the ball out. And look, for a while that was working. Once again, out of nowhere though, a scramble in the box, and Minte's taken that shot. And once again, I have to just tip my hat to David Raya. It was an unbelievable save. Just when we needed him to, you saw what it meant to the players. You saw the celebrations. He was pumped. He knew it was a great save. Defenders getting around him. And it kind of lifted Arsenal as well. It's in a weird way to say it like that. Sometimes the way the defenders celebrate a goal line clearance or a block or something, like it just gives them that pulse, that spurt of energy, which can propel the next few minutes. And I think that's in a strange way, it's what we needed. Arsenal just needed that jolt. And yeah. So there was still enough time, though, at either end to score. And this last little segment I'm going to cover, I don't feel great talking about this because we wasted too many chances. And as much as I'm pleased that we won, I think the consensus from all at Arsenal know that it shouldn't have been this close. And a few players, they're going to be disappointed when they look at the replay. We had a number of chances to close this game out, to put it away. It was a glorious chance for Martinelli. He was the right sub to come on, by the way. Arteta played this card well. 81, 82 minutes in, Martinelli on with about 10, 15 minutes to run at tired fullbacks to stretch the opposition, especially when we need an out ball. It was an excellent sub to make with Trossard coming off, and it was kind of working. Like Martinelli with his pace, his sprinting, getting in behind, it was working perfectly. And he was played in on an absolute platter from Bukayo, who Saka just once again, he's just doing Saka things. He doesn't get the accolades that he otherwise does or the goals or assists to show for it. I think he got an assist for the Odegaard goal, by the way. But this is an evolution of Saka as well. Like, he's so consistently good. He makes things happen. He himself, as good as Saka played as well, he would know that he left goals out there on the table. It was a great block from Dunk right at the death as well to keep him out. But Saka would know that he's cut inside on his left. He's got into a good position with some space. He's blasted over, he's blasted wide, a few deflections, a few blocks. Saka himself as well, such are the expectations, demands he places on himself. He would know he left some goals out there. That was an amazing delivery on a platter to Martinelli, who you have to bury that. You just do. This is not to criticize and say sell him and never put him on. It's not even about that. Just like earlier with that Gyökeres chance in the first minute that he should put away, he needs to. Same thing with Martinelli in the second. I think I forgot what minute that was, but it was later that he came on at the 82nd minute mark. But he came on for that moment. That's what he was there to do. That was his job. And unfortunately, he blasted over. You need to put that in. And the game should have been done. The game should be completely done. And unfortunately, it wasn't. So it is what it is. We still won. But in the wash-up, I think they're going to look at that and say, once again, guys, we're not going to keep getting away with this. Thankfully, though, we closed it out in the next few matches. You saw the relief on the players' faces, and from Arteta, like, you saw it. It was a mini celebration, hands in the air, but then post-match, as they were shaking hands and coming off, yeah, you saw it was more relief than anything. And that I was sharing the same look on my face, by the way. I was like, I'm glad that's over. I'm glad we got the 3 points. We needed the win. We go back on top of the Premier League, and I'm just glad the game is over. And look, we are back in action. The matches are coming in thick and fast. We have a huge match against Villa in a few days' time, and I just hope everything clicks. I don't know the status of Calafiori or Timber, if they're ready to return. But look, game by game, we are just finding a way. We are finding answers. And I think we'll have plenty to say against Villa, just quietly. Ever since we lost that match a month ago with the last kick the whole Aston Villa narrative, the Emery narrative. I think we've got something to say about that, and I'm really looking forward to it. So if you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Hype the show if you consider doing so. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you so much for all the new recent followers. If you're listening on an audio platform, please consider following the show as well. Leave me a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. It will be greatly appreciated. And stay tuned, please, because I'll be doing an instant reaction in a few days' time post-match after the Villa results. And hopefully I'm back on here talking about another resounding Arsenal victory. But look, until then, thank you so much, as always, for continuing to watch. All of my new followers, new activity. Greatly appreciated. Please send me any feedback, any questions. I read every single word. And just thank you. And enjoy, because as difficult and frenetic as these matches are, Arsenal still win, and we still sit on top, and we continue to build brick by brick that Premier League trophy. So let's keep this going. Until then, I'll talk to you all soon. Look after yourselves, check in with your loved ones, and come on, Arsenal.